Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the Jordan Report, and I am your host, Robert Jordan. Everyone, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Okay, guys, we're going to go out to California and check on California and Los Angeles, which is my home state and home city. So I do pay a lot of attention to it. But let me say, I'm going to tell you, it took the Democrats maybe 30 years. I want everybody to know this. It took the Democrats 30 years to take California from a first world state to the third world state that we see. They finally destroyed her. It took them 30 years to do this. Now let me talk about because they're in an economic death spiral now, and the governor is not helping. And I'm going to show you a clip of the governor talking, and it has no connection to the people who are suffering. You're going to see that. Anyway, this is April the 18th, Business Insider. After 1 month of coronavirus lockdown, more than 50% of Los Angeles is now unemployed. 50%. More than half the population of Los Angeles are now unemployed, according to a national survey. Researchers found that only 45% of LA workers are still employed, compared with 61% in mid-March, as 1.3 million people have lost their jobs during the coronavirus crisis. In LA, there was a certain level of insecurity to begin with, and it has increased a little bit more than it has in the national average. The research also found that ethnic minorities had been hit hardest by the job losses across the country, with 15% of white people saying they had lost their jobs, while 18% of Latinos and 21% of black people reported job losses. Under normal circumstances, losing a job without access to benefit would be bad enough. But in the current situation, chances of finding a new job are likely to be close to non-existent. I know people in the LA area, and I have been advising those, especially the young ones, to start looking for another state to live in. California is probably going to be gone for maybe 10 more years. They've destroyed the place. These chances are nothing less than catastrophic for those affected. On Thursday, the Labor Department reported that 5.2 million Americans filed for unemployment insurance in the week that ended April 11th. 660,000 were Californians. This brought the fourth week of total U.S. workers filing for unemployment to 22 million, which means that the coronavirus-related layoffs have effectively erased 22 million jobs that the U.S. economy added since the post-Great Recession recovery started in mid-2009. We have been wiped out. They literally destroyed California's economy and most of the country. Now let me show you how disconnected the governor is from the people who I just described in the article.
Hi, Governor. So I understand that you're not giving a key timeline of when these things are going to change. But more broadly, you've outlined some pretty radical changes in sort of what our daily life looks like in California, even as we start to lift these orders. So, we've got some pretty big holidays coming up into the summer, Memorial Day, July 4th. I mean, walk me through, if things go to plan, if we're able to, meet some of these measures, how do those big holidays, how does the summer look different for Californians? And following on that, how does the school year in the fall look different for California students if we meet all these measures and we're able to start, doing some of what you've talked about?
No, I appreciate it. Look, and thank you for the question, because you've also offered me an opportunity to say something that I wasn't clear about in the initial presentation, and that is as it relates to mass gatherings. The prospect of mass gatherings is negligible at best until we get to herd immunity and we get to a vaccine. So large-scale events that bring in hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of strangers all together across every conceivable difference, health and otherwise, is not in the cards based upon our current guidelines and current expectations. Things can change radically. And we, of course, can have therapeutics at scale, the kind of community testing at scale, the serology tests at scale, and capacity to get vaccines earlier than we anticipated that can change that dynamic. So I want to caution my own words in that context. But when you suggest June, July, August, it is unlikely. That said, as it relates to the school year, we need to get our kids back to school. I need to get my kids back to school. We need to get our kids educated. We need to deal with their mental health and the parents' mental health. It's hard to educate your kids and then take care of everybody else that parents are required of taking care of, not least of which each other, and other responsibilities within the household. And we just need to do it in a safe way so that those kids are not going to school, getting infected, and then coming back home and infecting grandma or grandpa. So we have to be very, very vigilant in that respect. As I mentioned to you, we've got these teams of people, and some of them are more built out than others. The area that we will be building out much more robustly is the school space, to very specifically answer that question. We have hypothecated, since you want to offer that lens, perhaps of imagination, let me hypothecate with you scenarios where in physically constrained environments where practicing physical distancing within the school come this fall may be challenged, we can conceivably stagger the individual students to come in as cohorts in the morning, some in the afternoon. We have to work, of course, with our unions and others and management to figure something like that out. But those are the conversations that we're already having. As it said, assemblies, PE, recess, looking at how you provide meals to our kids. All of those things would have to be reconsidered. Deep sanitization, massive deep cleaning, a predicate, by the way, not just in our schools, but disinfecting our parks, our playgrounds, our benches, our swings, our sidewalks, our streets, all common areas for businesses, for office building managers. The idea that we are still pushing to get to floor 10 and floor 11 to make sure that there are wipes, make sure that there is the kind of sanitation within those building systems. All of that is guidance that likely will be put out, which will again be predicate for reintroducing, again, a semblance of normalcy that, again, I recognize as anything not in the short run.
If I lived in California, this would scare me to death. He is not even addressing these people. He has a political and medical agenda that's going to come before these people. He's saying these people have to sit here all the way to August, maybe, until everything he just described is done. These people are already in food lines. Terrible news for California. Terrible news.